Hello, everyone. Welcome to today. Another lovely day here in central Pennsylvania. For those of you who are other places in the world, we're thinking of you all around the world. We're going to talk about that in just a couple moments. But for our centering today, I would like you to put your feet on the floor and sit in a posture of awareness where you're somewhat upright and begin to notice your breathing, how that centers us and calms us. And as you tune into your body and breath today, becoming aware of where you are and where you have been today, I want you to bring your focus to something that has supported you, something that has supported you during the time that you've been awake today. There are loads of different kinds of support. So consider what you've needed and how those needs have been met. How does that support make you feel? How does having that support make you feel? I'd like you to talk about what that support has been and how it makes you feel in your group me. And TAs, as always, we're going to do this a few times today. I would love to hear what's going on, little glimpses of what's going on in your labs. If you could take just a second to message me. 3 minutes to think about and to converse about your personal thoughts about what has supported you and how you feel about that. Make sure you're using I language because this is a personal report, a personal feeling, a personal intuition. So, 3 minutes. So the comments that are coming in, I am I am delighted to see people. It's a variety of being supported by other people, um, and people that are feeling supported by themselves because of good choices, um, because of choices that are helping them to feel healthy, and that's really cool. Um, some good food supporting them, so all kinds of my body supporting me, so all kinds of goodness out there. Um, there are always flowers for those who wish to see them. A quote by Henry Matisse. Henry Matisse was an artist. These are some of his works here. Um, and looking for those places where we feel gratitude. Gratitude is a choice. There are always things to be thankful for those who wish to find them. That's what he's saying with this quote, always flowers for those who wish to see them. How does opening to gratitude change how you feel in this moment? Being grateful for the choices you've made, being grateful for the food you've eaten, being grateful for your parents and their support, being grateful for your dope roommates. It's totally cool. And so, how does that gratitude change how you feel? How does expressing gratitude change those relationships, either with yourself, honoring yourself, um, or with other people, or with the world around you, with the world around me, seeing that gratitude? So, what makes you grateful about the place in the natural world where you are right now? I took this picture on a hike um, when I was hiking with two of my sons and my dad over this last weekend, and I just felt such gratitude for the world around me and the people I was with, and it was the overarching feeling that I experienced, and I came home much more connected or relaxed than I had been. So think now about the natural world around you. Wherever in the world you are right now, we have people watching this class from all over the world. And so, where are you grateful? What are you grateful for in the natural world around you right now? Take a moment and drop that in the chat there in your Zooms with your TAs. If you'd like to have a little conversation or say things out loud too, we'll spend about 2 minutes on this. So kind of hold that question someplace where it feels right. Um, how could gratitude for the natural world help us to shape our relationship with the world around us? Remembering that the natural world can be other people, it can be inside of ourselves. I was reading some of the blog prompts today, or the blog responses today, and there's so much beauty and connection there. If you haven't seen those blog responses, or if you haven't written your own, I would encourage you to look around, peruse what some of your classmates are saying. There's some really beautiful responses there. And so, as much as we've been talking about the tragedies, we also need to celebrate these moments of beauty, and connect with those moments. Finding balance. I really struggled during this part two of the class when every day I'm researching the hardships of the world, and my whole spirit gets pretty deflated every time. And so I really need to seek during this part two of the course some balance. And so before we dove into what I call part two of part two today, I really needed to, for myself and hopefully for all of you, to have this peaceful start before diving into some of those hardships. So just breathe and let yourself feel, and we're going to jump in now to more of the hard stuff of part two. So this part about where we have been, the tragedies that we have highlighted here, are just some of what's going on. We haven't talked directly about these types of things, but they are results of the choices that humans have made and continue to make. So oil spills, disrespect of other lives, deforestation, the tragic situation of the ocean, abject poverty, proliferation of chemicals, chaos with the climate, these dump sites, mountaintop removal to mine coal. It's all part of the tragedy and the chaos that's happening on Earth. And so here in this part two, we're talking about the world of wounds. And what we're going to start with here in part two of part two is why. Why is this happening? So we can see that those nine pictures that I showed you are the symptoms. And yet we haven't really gotten into, and we're going to start today to dive into what's the root cause. What's causing all of the imbalance? What's causing humans to do what they're doing? And just like I said the other day about the side effects of chemicals, the side effects makes it sound pretty demure, makes it sound like, oh, side effects, they aren't things that we have to worry about. Except that they're really effects. They are direct effects of what our choices are. It's the same thing. Side effects makes it feel softer, but they're just all effects. So take a moment and on your notes page for today, write down an idea or two. You could also drop those into your Zoom chat about why all of this is happening. Why all of this is happening. So take a moment to reflect on your own. And then brainstorm, chat with your lab group about what you think. A lot of you are putting some really thoughtful things into the chat. Um, Things about disregard and greed, being selfish and impulsive, being in a rush, not caring enough to be knowledgeable about things, instant gratification. We can't see the direct effects of what we're doing to the planet. It's really thoughtful, and a lot of those are true. We'll be diving in. Today we're going to start with with two particular areas. The first of which is population. So population growth population growth has been on this page is on the notes page for today, or this graph is, but I think you can actually see it better here. So in 1850, there were 1 billion people in 1850. And you can see the years before that things were way below 1 billion people, and gradually rose until that point of 1850. And then it only took 80 years for the population to double again. So it did in 80 years what had taken 100,000 years. And then now we're on a growth rate that was 1,000 times faster than in previous history. So it doubled first from 1 billion to 2 billion in 80 years, and then from 2 billion to 4 billion in 40 years. And so now we're on a track that will hit 8 billion. We're going to double. We're going to hit 8 billion somewhere around 2024, which isn't that long. The growth rate has slowed some during that time, and so it will take us 54 years to double from 4 billion to 8 billion. And so is this the main cause of today's ecological crisis? I've shown this picture before, the incredible image of Earthrise that was taken during the lunar orbit of Apollo 11 in July of 1969, and that was just before the population hit 4 billion people. And so if we were to go into space and take a picture of Earth, you would quickly notice that the size of the Earth has not changed at all, and yet our population has doubled. I'd like to show you this cool website. Here is the current world population, the Worldometer, counting the births today, the deaths today, and the population growth today. And then it shows the same things for this year. So our world population has grown by 65.5 million people this year. So taking that into account, we're on that same size of land mass. So where are we with that? What's going to happen next? So what we're experiencing is this exponential growth. I want you to notice particularly the curve. The words don't matter so much on this, on the X and Y axis. But what I want you to notice is the squares, the lines that create the squares in the linear trend, and then the circles that represent the exponential trend. And so that's what we are experiencing with population growth today. What I want you to notice then is that here are some other trends. We are in an age now that the scientists are calling the Great Acceleration, because everything is moving at this exponential growth rate. So you can see the world population in the upper left-hand corner, but then you can also see the number of large dams has increased in that exponential use or rate. Water use has done the same. Paper production, fertilizer consumption, telecommunications, international tourism, all of these are on the same kind of growth curve, that exponential growth. So carbon dioxide, if you look at then the Earth system trends, ocean acidification we've talked about, the marine fish capture is an interesting one because you can see how it's fluctuating at the top there, the curve, because it's not sustainable at that point. Tropical forest loss, terrestrial biosphere degradation. So because of the exponential growth, or part of it is because of exponential growth of humans population, these other things are also on that exponential growth. The dawn of the Anthropocene, that's the people. The Anthropocene is the trend, the time that we're in now. In 1950, Earth crossed a tipping point when post-World War II production and consumption slipped into overdrive, and we, the producers and consumers, moved on to a new exponential trajectory fueled by the use of Earth's natural resources. So yes, what they're saying is there are more of us, but we're also using more and more. Another important thing to note, another exponential curve to note, is that a report came out in May of 2019 that nature is declining globally at rates unprecedented in human history, and the rate of species extinctions is accelerating, with grave impacts all over the world. Biodiversity and nature's contributions to people are our common heritage and humanity's most life-supporting safety net. But our safety net is stretched almost to the breaking point. The diversity within species, between species, and of ecosystems, as well as many other fundamental contributions we derive from nature, are declining fast. The report finds that around 1 million animal and plant species are now threatened with extinction, more than ever before in human history. And so, yes, there are more of us, and yes, our choices make a difference. So about those choices, I showed a picture like this last week, and we were talking about things, and we had a conversation about it, how it ties into the ecological crisis of today. So take just another moment with it today, and see if you have any additional thoughts, and you can drop those into your group me chat. We have increased our consumption of stuff by about 3 times since 1960. Why? Why have we increased our consumption of stuff? And so that's a big question for reflection. I think there's part of it that the stuff is available. Things are available in more choices than we've ever had before. And so it's natural that we would consume and choose more. But I also believe that there's a disconnect. We are feeling disconnected. We don't feel good. We're subjected to pressure from our culture that pushes us to consume more. And in fact, consumers is how we are referenced. So in the United States, we are consumers. We are not as often citizens. We are often consumers. And in fact, corporations spent in 2019, corporations spent $240 billion in advertising to get us to consume stuff. We don't come cheap. That's $725 per United States citizen. So here's an example. Let's give a concrete example of what I'm talking about here and how things have evolved over time to be this way. So I'm going to take this example of Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola has been around since the late 1800s, And this is some of the first marketing or the first advertisement for Coca-Cola. Delicious and refreshing drink, obviously, that beautiful women should consume. So take note of the words, but take note of the images and the what they're implying about their product. Moving into the early 1900s, the 1920s, delicious Coca-Cola, pure and wholesome. Isn't that wonderful? Pure and wholesome. Here it is. Oh, you drink it when you're thirsty. And still, it's only 5 cents. The price hasn't gone up much, which is pretty cool. And moving on through time, you notice that they're all sexy women that are posing on these, trying to get people to consume this product. Moving on from 1886 to 1936, the 50th anniversary of Coca-Cola, and how times have changed when in 1886 being fully clothed was important to then being able to be freer in 1936 while you drink your Coca-Cola. And here it is for families. It's for get-togethers. It's for being social. Coca-Cola is the right drink to serve when you have your friends over. It is the friendliest drink on earth. Oh, Coca-Cola is for people that are in love too. Look at that. Oh, in fact, good-looking people that are in love. So you should definitely drink Coca-Cola. Oh, Coca-Cola is for athletes as well. And then take note, of course, of the racial profile here of that athlete, that all people can drink Coca-Cola. Open happiness, Coca-Cola. And then moving on even to more recent times, you can wear even fewer clothes when you're drinking Coca-Cola and be super cool. So what does this marketing say? And this is just one example of all the different corporations that are appealing to us and the things that they're trying to sell us, the things that they think we, quote unquote, need. They're appealing to our deep psychology, the need to be accepted, the need to be part of community, the need to be sexy. And so for those of you who are studying marketing or business, this is not a slam by any means. This is brilliant. And the awareness of what they are doing is on another level. It's an opportunity for us to see with new eyes and to reflect on the marketing. In Monday night's training course for the next round of TAs, we had a really beautiful conversation about how marketing affects us and how when we see things that we think we need, how it affects our whole being. So these are just a few. And considering who are we? We are branded people. Whether it's something that you choose on purpose, or whether it's that you need to have those Nike sneakers and you're choosing Nike for a reason, they're the most comfortable shoe you've experienced, or is it because they're selling just do it and selling encouragement? And so, yeah, it's all about how these subliminal messages get sent, is the big part of our consumption. So how does it all relate? When I buy those sneakers, what is the big picture? The big picture becomes connected to the natural world like this, through the ecological footprint. The ecological footprint is an analysis, it's an accounting tool that enables us to estimate the resource consumption and the waste assimilation. So, what's happening with those items that we consume? And so, it could be a whole population, it could be a country that's measuring an ecological footprint, but it could also be an individual. And it could also be a business or a city, or it could be all of humanity. We can assess our pressure on the planet, which helps us manage our ecological assets more wisely and take personal and collective action in support of a world where humanity lives within Earth's bounds. So, how do these relate to us? How do these relate to those sneakers, whatever brand it is that you choose? In your lab this week, you will have the opportunity to take a quick snapshot. It's not particularly thorough. It's not going to ask you what brand of sneakers you chose to buy or why you chose to buy them. But it will give you a quick snapshot of your personal ecological footprint, your connections to your impact on Earth, and how those choices impact you in other ways. So you'll begin to consider how it might be possible to increase your well-being while decreasing your footprint. So that UN report that I referenced earlier about the species says that it's not too late to make a difference, but only if we start now at every level from local to global. It means starting with the individual and making change all the way up. Transformative change, nature can still be conserved, restored, and used sustainably. And this is the key to meeting lots of other global goals. By making these transformative changes, we mean a fundamental system-wide reorganization across technological, economic, and social factors, including the paradigms and goals and values. And so this shift has to be huge, and I encourage all of you to consider your role in that shift. So the average, considering that we have one Earth and the resources on one Earth, if everyone on Earth consumed like the average American, lived the average American lifestyle, we would need about 5 Earths to support us. So how is it that we are still here at all? Well, if you look at this, the folks in India aren't using a whole Earth, so to speak. They have such low rates of consumption, and they have available resources. So the point is that we are taking up more Earth than we actually have. They call it Overshoot Day. For the world, Earth Overshoot Day this year, 2020, fell on August 22nd. If we had only had those resources, that's when we would have had to stop using anything else. We're running an ecological debt, so to speak. And so how is it that we can keep going? Well, it's because there are people that are being pushed to using less and less, and as other people are using more and more. And so it's not going to go for very much longer in the pattern that we're doing. We're drawing down our natural capital. We've already talked about the soil and the fish and the wood. We're drawing down the natural capital while we're filling the atmosphere and the soil and the water and the air with too much waste too fast. And so this is where this is where we need to take some deep consideration. Somebody put in the chat right now something that might be interesting to all of you, that there's a film called Advertising at the Edge of Apocalypse. It's on Canopy. It's about consumerism and advertising. I've not seen it, but it's coming from one of your peers as a recommendation. So to consider some of this, I mentioned the blog. I have put up a new blog post today, new blog prompt titled Pessimism in the Face of Now. And it starts this way. I didn't put the whole prompt here, but when coming into full relationship with the difficulties facing Earth, and so it's us too, it can all be very upsetting. And I understand that. And so you can add your thoughts to the blog, and be sure to read the ones of others so that we know that we are in this together. And it's not just us. There is this group called the One Planet Alliance, and there are lots of organizations that are working on these topics. This is one that I thought was particularly interesting. They're recognizing, valuing, and protecting the Earth's biological capital as humanity's most critical asset. It's the role and responsibility of the One Planet Alliance that it's a council of many nations with a shared vision in addressing natural resource security, to oversee, sustain, and to grow the ecological footprint initiative around the world. It is when we can work together within neighborhoods and communities and towns and cities and states and nations that we'll be able to tackle these challenges internationally. So you'll get to consider your ecological footprint. And as I say, it's not a perfect tool. It's not taking in every good thing that we're doing or every hard thing that we're doing, but it gives us a snapshot of what's happening for us. And for me, it was really helpful because it gave me ideas about things that I could do to change my habits and reduce my footprint. So I'd like you to take in this final video. I do want to mention that the video that I showed, apparently that we were having, we were in breaking some kind of rules as far as video and content sharing. It was not the topic of the class, but it was that there was a copyright issue with the video that I was showing the other day. And so again, I apologize about that. And I have no idea why it was that video and not any of the others that we've shown or used, but I'm continuing to learn about this. So I appreciate your patience. So today, I'd like you to take in this as the last piece of our class. And then you'll have a moment to talk with your lab group about it afterward.
In the course of human events,
in the course of human events,
pendant le cours des événements humains,
becomes increasingly necessary to recognize the fundamental qualities the truths we hold
to be self-evident. Alors nous devons réévaluer les vérités que nous tenons pour acquises. And all humans are
created equal.
And all are connected.
比如每个人都是生来平等，并且联系在一起的。
That we share the pursuits of life,
La recherche d'une vie meilleure,
liberty,
الخلود,
happiness,
food,
والغذاء, water, agua, shelter, el refugio, seguridad,
education,
femininity, and justice.
and hopes for a better future.
that our collective knowledge, economy, technology, and environment are fundamentally interdependent.
Ketergantungan kita.
That what will propel us forward
لأن لدينا شجاعة على التقدير.
is our curiosity,
Curiosity. Rasa ingin tahu kita.
our ability to forgive,
Kemampuan kita untuk memaafkan.
our ability to appreciate,
Our courage.
our courage,
Keberanian kita.
and our desire to connect.
That we're connected.
Quality.
That these things we share.
To our fullest common potential.
Le cose che noi teniamo insieme sono le cose del nostro mondo.
我们应该严肃对待我们的问题。
We should never take ourselves too seriously.
Kwa sababu jambo jingine linalotuunganisha huwa kutokana na
Dan upaya kita untuk belajar dari kesalahan kita.
So that we can learn from the past, understand our place in the world,
memahami tempat kita di dunia.
Use a
collect knowledge.
to create a better future.
去创造一个更美好的未来。
So perhaps it's time
Jadi mungkin sudah saatnya kita
that we, as a species,
sebagai spesies, as a species,
love to laugh, que disfruta de reír,
Love to laugh. Poser question.
ask questions and connect.
do something radical and true. For centuries,
We have declared
independence. Perhaps it's now time that we, as humans, declare our interdependence.
interdependenza.
Interdependence.
Interdependence.
So, the beauty of opportunity to connect, to realize our interdependence on everything around us, as well as on each other, that we don't have to be independent, that we are all connected, might lead to some possibilities. It leads me to some optimism. So, as challenging as this time is, I hope that this too helps you to see that there is a way. There are connections that we can make. So take the last moment and talk about all of that in your lab. And I want to wish you a beautiful weekend and the idea that we are interdependent.